Hi guys, Crystal here from 360 Fitness, and today I'm going to walk you through a few stretches for those of you that find yourself sitting a lot, whether that's at a desk, whether you're driving. There's a few muscles that tend to get over tight and can create terrible postural imbalances and cause aches and pains that you live with throughout the rest of your day. So the first things we're going to kind of address today are your hip flexors. Your psoas muscles tend to get really over tight when we're in this seated position for long periods of time. Then our chest muscles, because our arms are extended out in front of us all the time, we tend to roll forward. And then usually through our neck and our jaw as well. So whether that's because we're tense from driving or working, our shoulders hike up, or whether that's from sticking our chins out to look further into our screens. So all of these things can have a terrible kind of impact on your overall posture and just your comfort in your day-to-day work life. So those are kind of the few things that we're going to really work on addressing today. So we're going to start by walking through a few seated stretches, super easy, that you can do right at the comfort of your desk. So just kind of follow along with me, guys. We're going to start off with the glutes. So as long as you can get that foot up across your thigh, you're gonna do great. So this might be enough for you guys. You might start feeling the stretch through your hip and your glute right here. If not, we can stand up tall and then we're just gonna hinge forward at our waist. So we don't wanna overly collapse through our belly or through our spine. We wanna maintain a nice upright position and just gradually try and sink into that stretch a little bit further each time. So up nice and tall, hinging forward if we can, and we should start to feel a big stretch through that outer hip and down deep into those glutes that are sat on for most of our day. Okay, and then we'll up, switch into the other side. So as we're going along through these, guys, remember to breathe. That's probably one of the most important things. That mind-muscle connection is super important in actually helping the muscle relax. So the more you can kind of think about what muscle we're stretching, trying to relax, really focusing on that, the more effective your stretching is going to be. So as we kind of go along through all of these, remember and be very mindful of your posture and that you're breathing and you're not clenching. You're actually trying to relax into these stretches further. So nice and tall, hinging forward, feeling it through those glutes. The next one that we have is going to be your trap stretches. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shrug those shoulders down. We're gonna make sure that we unclench our jaw, and we're actually going to sit on our hands. So sitting on your hand here is gonna create some tension through your arm. It's actually gonna pull your trap and your shoulder down. And then you're going to tilt your head in the opposite direction, trying to create some length from your, all the way up to your ear, all the way down this shoulder. So depending on where you're the most tight, maybe looking up might get you a little bit more stretch through the front. Straight ear to your shoulder might get right down the side, or you can also tilt your chin down into your chest, and that's going to get it a little bit more up the back of your neck rather than the side. So switch over sides for me, guys. You're going to sit on that hand, creating the tension. You might even feel it a little bit down your arm as well. Shoulders down, and then gently pulling your ear to your other shoulder. If you need a little bit more, you can always use your hand to create a little bit more tension. We never want to pull to a point that we're feeling any pain. We don't want to fight a stretch. maybe a slight discomfort, guys, but that's it. We need to be able to let the body relax. We need to let those muscles relax. So you should always be breathing, always be focusing on the calm, and switch those positions if you feel like you need. So tuck your chin down into your chest a little bit more, look up and get through the front of the neck a little bit more. Okay, next one up we're gonna try is our spinal twist. So I want you guys to sit up tall, take a big breath in, and then as we exhale, we're going to rotate. So grab onto your desk or maybe the armchair, and we're gonna try and rotate. So really make sure that your knees and your feet stay planted and they're facing forward. We're only rotating through the spine. So, and again, we're not collapsing. We want to be nice and tall throughout this. We're not hunched or trying to get farther. So every inhale, we get nice and tall, and then every exhale, we're trying to rotate a little bit farther the other way. So big breaths here, guys. And then exhale, relax and twist. And then on to the other side. So again, you can use your seat, you can use the back of your chair. If you're driving, the passenger chair works really well. And just to get, again, that little bit more tension if you need a little bit more. So grab hold, big breath in, twist a little bit further. Keep the chin in line, and exhale and relax. So as we go through these, guys, remember always focusing on what muscles we're working through. So right now it's mainly through the muscles that run along our spinal column. So the more we can focus on what muscles we're working, our brain will focus on actually relaxing those muscles as well. Okay, so next up, and the last one of our seated one, guys, is our forearm stretches. So lots of us sit doing this all day, or we're clenched really tight driving, and our forearm muscles get super tight. So these ones are pretty simple, seem pretty easy, but they can actually cause a lot of damage. Some of you might suffer from carpal tunnel, golfers, tennis elbow, those sorts of things. So these are the muscles that usually are affecting those. So start by fully extending through your arm. So lock the elbow out, and we're just gonna pull on each finger. So each finger has its own muscle and tendon attachment. So it's gonna be more effective when we pull on each individual finger rather than the palm as a whole. So just gently, your wrist is has lots of delicate little carpal bones in there. So just give a couple seconds on each finger, and you should be feeling that stretch all through the tops of your muscles. So flip over to your other side, guys. Locked out arm, pulling the fingers towards you. Make sure your shoulders are down. Make sure we're breathing. Don't overlook these teeny tiny muscles. They can have a huge impact on your day. And once you've got through each of those fingers, we're actually gonna flip it over. So we're gonna have our fingers pointing up this time. So same idea through our forearm, nice outstretched arm, locked elbow, and we're gonna grab at the furthest tips of our fingers and just gently pull back towards us. So big breaths through there, guys. This time we're gonna feel it more through our forearms here. And just gentle as always, and you might even feel the stretch through the palm. There's lots of muscles in the palms of our hands, and especially when we're typing or mousing. those fingers and hand muscles can get super tight as well. So flip it over to the other side. Always trying to grab at the furthest ends of your fingertips. Nice outstretched arm. And just gently pulling back. Each exhale, we'll try and pull just a little bit firmer, reaching out in front of you. Okay guys, we're gonna get you up out of your chairs for a bit here to finish up with our stretches. So we're gonna work into our lat muscles here next, which is right underneath our armpits and runs all the way down into our lower back. So hands out on your desk, and then you're just going to sink your hips down and back. So we want to apply pressure down with our hands into our desk surface, and we want to try and sink those hips back as far as we can. So as we're holding this stretch, guys, I really, really want you to try to focus on that breathing and expanding our rib cage. Because our lats run down our sides, we can get a really effective stretch if we focus on expanding through our rib cage as we inhale, and then as we exhale, we try to breathe all of that air out, completely exhale and sink our hips a little further back. Okay, so to increase this one, you can actually move your hips a little bit to one side, and that's going to increase the angle of our stretch on the one side, and then the breathing will help as well. Bigger inhales and bigger exhales. And then you can actually walk your hips and your feet the other way, and you'll get an opposite, bigger stretch on the opposite side. So a few more big breaths here, guys, and then the last ones, I kind of want you just to tuck your chin all the way down into your chest and really work on elongating that spine. Come up nice and slow out of that one. And then we're gonna go into our hip flexor stretches next. So those are the ones that when we're sitting all the time, guys, they tend to get shortened. And then when we go to stand up after a long day, it pulls our pelvis and our low back forward. So this is probably the one that's the most detrimental to our posture and discomfort, causing a lot of back pain and a lot of pressure through that lower spine. So this one's super important. So what we're gonna do is take a big step forward, and then we're just gonna slightly lunge. So what we're looking for here, guys, is we really wanna tuck our pelvis underneath us. So in sitting position, it tends to roll back. So I really want you to focus on pulling your sternum down towards your pelvic bone and then tilting your hips underneath you. So tuck in like somebody's gonna punch you in the stomach, tighten up those abs, and then sink just a little bit lower into that stretch. So what we're looking for is actually a stretch through this back leg, maybe coming through the groin area and down the leg through that hip flexor, okay? Switch up legs for me. So pull the sternum down. You're taking that arch out of the back. So we want nice flat back here. Pelvis is tilted underneath of us. We start feeling the stretch through our hip and upper thigh. You can even imagine that somebody's pulling a string from the back of your knee up, and that's going to intensify the stretch as well. Just be cautious as you pull that up that your hips don't shift forward. So the big one here, guys, is to get that pelvis underneath you. So this is probably one of the biggest ones that you guys can be mentally aware of throughout your day. That's going to cause you the most aches and pains and postural indifference, because when your hips are out of line, your shoulders are going to be out of line, your neck is going to be out of line. So really be conscious of these throughout your day. and stretch these as often as you can. The next one, we're gonna get into those chest muscles that get tight from those extended arms. So we're gonna start with a mobility one first, guys, just to kind of get the synovial fluid through our shoulders warmed up. So we're gonna start with our hands out in front of us, and you're just going to gently open up your arms. So use a little bit of momentum to get a little bit of a swing, and you're gonna alternate which hand is higher, which hand is lower. So squeeze the shoulder blades together in the back. Make sure your shoulder blades are shrugged down. We're gonna do about 20 total of these guys, and then we're going to move into our actual stretch after our shoulders are warmed up. Forgot to mention, make sure there's some room around you so you're not hitting anybody. And then we're gonna go into the stretch. So whether you're using your chair, you can use a wall, guys. Something that's sturdy if you're driving. Usually even putting your arm behind your passenger seat is really good. So grab on, make sure that shoulder is rolled down and back. And then we're just gonna gently turn in the opposite direction here. So we should start feeling the stretch through that shoulder, in through our pec, maybe down our arms slightly. Make sure it's in an anatomically correct position so we're not letting it roll forward. We should be shrugged down and back. So in the back, our scapula is sitting flat against our rib cage. So be conscious of that and pull that head back. And then gentle twists on the exhale. So big, tall inhale. And then as you exhale, we want to slightly always try to increase that stretch. Then moving into your opposite side, guys. Shoulder down and back. And then you're tilting away. So depending on the height of your arm, you can actually have different effects on your pec muscles. It's a big muscle. So if you have your hand up a little bit higher, if you have your hand a little bit lower, and then if you turn so your thumb actually faces into the surface, you're gonna get a little bit more of a stretch through your bicep as well. So depending on what's kind of bugging you the most, just take that into consideration, play around with it a little bit. And again, really important to breathe and trying to expand through the chest muscles. That's going to increase the intensity of the stretch. And the last one I'm going to get you to do here, guys, is just a cross leg forward fold. So it doesn't matter which leg you start on, but you're going to cross one leg in front of the other. And then, so the back leg is going to slightly pop out, and then we're just going to hinge forward at our hips. So ideally, I want you guys to have your chins tucked down the entire time, and you're just going to hang like a rag doll. So lots of times if you grab opposite elbows and you kind of just lightly sway back and forth like a rag doll, it's really good for our SI joints in our lower back, and you should feel it all through your glutes, down your outside IT band, and down through the backs of your legs. So just passively hanging, guys. Let your spine roll, let your neck roll into your chest, and then big breathing. So as we inhale, we might come up a little bit, and then as we exhale, we fully relax a little bit further. So popping the hip out, pulling our belly button in, rolling forward, and just passively hanging. So switch into the other leg. So that leg's gonna swap behind, pop the hip out to the other side, and then roll forward. So the big breath in, and then as we exhale, try and fold slightly more forward. So super relaxing, kind of brings some of the blood that's been sitting through our lower body back up into our upper body, and really starts getting things moving when we've been sitting in a chair all day. So that kind of wraps up all of our stretches, you guys. So as you're going through them, the few key things to remember is posture. Check in that your head is pulled back. Make sure your shoulders are down and back through all of the stretches, and then really making sure that your pelvis and your torso are in check. So we tend to, even when I say sit up tall, push your chest out, which puts an exaggerated arch in our lower back. So always think to pull your sternum and your pelvis together and to rotate your hips, even when you go into that seated position. I really hope that you guys find that super helpful. Try to work through that at least once a day. If you can, twice. I think if you can do this on a regular basis, you're gonna find the aches and pains that you struggle with on a daily basis are gonna start feeling a lot better, and your overall posture is gonna become significantly more efficient and look a lot better.